Hi Jason, thanks for coming in. Jason is the General Manager of Electrolux Home Products in Orange in regional New South Wales, Australia. Jason, I've really enjoyed working with you over the last 12 months on an individual level as well as in your role as the GM of Electrolux. I find it fascinating about, in a manufacturing environment, how coaching is used by you to achieve change, both personal and in business. What are some of the things you really, treasure as a general manager about coaching? Because I know you coach a lot of your own people in the company.
The biggest kick I get out of it is when someone comes back to me and they've taken an idea they come up with or a bit of input that they've been given, and they built on it and multiplied it. And they come back and they really surprised me by where they've taken that idea and concept to something that's completely new. So that's the thing I really love about it, is generating that new idea and the excitement. I love seeing them have a buzz and a spring in their step. Okay.
So I'm intrigued and quite curious about how you break people's pattern or habit. If they've got into a rut or a habit over time, and you've got to inspire them. So how do you go about doing that as the leader in an organisation that's got over 600 people in it?
I think part of it's having really clear communication. When I first got there, I sat down with small groups of people 7 or 8 times a day until I got through all 600 people. It took me 11 weeks. And the real essence of that communication was to establish a connection between person to person, between me, so I wasn't the general manager, I was Jason, and say to them, look, I'm far too lazy to outthink 600 of you, and I'm just not smart enough to do that either. So my job really is to try and get everyone all aligned and create a vision that we can all going to sign up to, and then we'll just go for it. Okay. So that's one aspect. The other part is being really transparent with what's going on in the business. In the absence of information, people will always imagine the worst. We share our gross profit on some TV screens in that factory. There are just masses of communication through our weekly structured communication process, 2 monthly briefings from me, the small group sessions I have, so that it's all out there for everyone to hear what the real truth is. And good or bad, we share it with everyone, and that's how you get trust, and that's how people will follow you, or ideally, go ahead of you in the direction that you've set.
What was the riskiest part of doing that? Because a lot of people would say, don't show your people the numbers. So you've done the total flip of that to say, make it all transparent. How's that been received? I mean, what's the outcome?
Everyone's wrapped with it. They're very curious what was going on. It's something that never happened before. And every 2 months they see the full profit and loss statement of the business, let alone the everyday, the approximate one. I think the biggest risk is really between your own ears. It's about being willing to let go of that control and power that having knowledge that other people don't have may give you a feeling of security or importance. And I'm really about how we get this done really quick so I have lots of time to think. And I can spend time coming along and doing testimonials with you or whatever else that I'm going to be doing, rather than being a control freak. I think it's getting rid of that control freak is the biggest challenge for so many of us.
Jason, one of the things that obviously is difficult with control is non-conforming people in an organisation. What's your take on reward and consequence? So that you set them free and you delegate, and does there have to be a reward and consequence thing to make sure people are performing at the level?
We have a bonus program that I think has some impact, but I think it's fairly limited. I think the real issue is the consequences of for an individual are there. We have turnover that's of our choice because we actively manage all employees at all levels. All levels, right up to my direct reports, and there are consequences for poor performance. And ultimately, the ultimate sanction is go find and do something else for a living. I think that's got the biggest impact, because then you are seen as being equal in treatment of people. When we have someone who is perceived by the rest of the group as getting away with something, that infects everyone else. and it pulls their morale down. When we've had some of our more difficult people leave, their peer group has actually come afterwards and said, thank God you finally did something about that, and you've seen they've lifted. So I think it's about, we have a bonus system, it has some impact. I think it's consistency of leadership and treatment of people is the biggest impact.
I know, and I've said that you have seen coaching as a vehicle for you to help manage your people.
Yep.
What sort of inspiration do you get out of coaching? And you're coached by several people.
Yeah.
What's your sort of inspiration through coaching?
I think it's getting fresher ideas and perspectives from people's different set of experiences and leveraging those and working on what do you take from that, how do you actually grow from that. Another part is also getting cool on your own garbage. So you've got someone to think while you talk is how I process. And they can say, well, hang on, why are you using that word or that context, or is that really where your head's at? Well, last time we spoke, you talked about this. So it's having a sounding board, and it's not lonely at the top, it's certainly less crowded. And certainly one of the things I value from all the people that coach me, and I've got 4 of them I'm currently working with, is that sounding board and that extra input to keep me on the pathway which I've set for myself.
Terrific. Thanks, Jason. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with me. Chris Morrison from Action Coach, and it's been a pleasure working with you, Jason. So well done.